sports cars and wave those big checks and talk about all the trips and the bling and the money that we've made. But does that really serve the candidate? Does that really serve the team member? I don't think so, because nobody really cares how rich and how happy and how healthy and how sexy you are, unless they first heard about how poor, how challenged, how average, how unhealthy you maybe used to be. Now, don't get me wrong. I have watches that cost $50,000. I have watches that cost $80,000, $20,000, $15,000, and I have hundreds of watches. Right? So you can know, if you go to my house, my little dresser that holds watches is worth the gross national product of a small developing country. I'm not ashamed of that. I like shoes. I have more shoes than Anne Feinstein. In fact, I have more shoes than any woman here. Do you see these nice boots I'm wearing? Actually, I just wore these today to make Gabio jealous. But if you, so I like sports cars. I like to make a lot of money. I like the finer things of life. And I don't apologize for that. And I'm grateful to this business because it's brought me those things. But if you were at the Leadership Academy in San Diego 2 weeks ago, when I told my story, they would tell you, Sergio was there. What did I talk about? Talked about my first secret meeting that nobody showed up, and I wondered if I should quit. I talked about my first long-distance line, where I flew to another state, and nobody showed up. And I thought about whether I should quit. I sometimes talk about the story of when I was at the leadership retreat in Hawaii, and I was sitting by the swimming pool, and the vice president of the company came and told me that my sponsor was upstairs in the hotel calling my diamonds to recruit them into another company, because he had joined that the week before. And still came to our leadership retreat to try and recruit away more people. See, I've been in that spot that Eric talked about this morning. I can do that. I can lean forward and say, yes, he's, I know. It happened to me. And I'm still here.
Así fue lo que dijo.
Así que amor. That inspires the team. Do you see how Gonzalo did that yesterday brilliantly. Just brilliant. Because here he was, up here as a diamond director, and what did he show? He showed his first check, which was the equivalent of 5 United States dollars. But the most important slide that you saw all week, that you will see the entire week, was the picture of the hotel that he stayed in at his first Alumbra. You get that? That was the most important thing anybody's going to see. We just blew a circuit breaker, so we're going to have the intimate version with no lights. So get close. That's what happens when you have 10,000 people on Vida Energia. Tell it in a 5-minute version at a Leadership Academy, in a 30-minute version, 45-minute version, or a 90-minute version. It's the same basic story. You just expand it or contract it with more examples, more stories, more jokes, or less examples, less stories, less jokes. So if you want to be a leader, you need to be able to do this. So you should be able to come to any event where you just expect to be an attendee, and if somebody runs up to you in the parking lot and says, Margarita's plane had a mechanical and she couldn't make it, she was going to tell her story, we need you to replace her, we need you to do a 45-minute slot, you say, of course, I'm happy to. Right? You don't say, oh, I didn't have time to prepare. I don't have PowerPoint slides. No, you don't need those. You need to be able to tell your story at a click of a finger in a way that empowers the team, in a way that empowers a candidate looking at the business. Second skill I want you to work on, that what leaders do is they are excellent trainers. They're excellent trainers and in specific areas. And I'm going to mention 5 areas that you need to be able to train on. The 4 basic skill sets: how to meet people, how to work a candidate list, how to invite, and how to follow up. Those are the 4 basic skill sets that every single team member needs to be proficient at, and every single team leader needs to be able to train on. So, if you're here as a team member and you're not proficient in those 4 areas, then that's my challenge to you, is that you need to become proficient, at least proficient, in each of those 4 areas in the next 2 weeks. You have to at least become efficient at them. And then, if you're one of those people who says, yeah, in Panama, I want to be on the stage as a diamante. then you need to be able to train on each of those 4 areas. And I'm going to add a 5th area. You need to be able to train on the Fusion product line. That same thing, you could show up at an event and they could say, no, Diego's car broke down. He was going to do a 45-minute training on the product line. Can you take his place? And you don't say, oh, I don't have slides. You say, of course. We need to be able to go into your bedroom at 3 a.m., shine a flashlight in your face, wake you up and say, hey, we need 45 minutes on the product line. You can do it. Or hey, we need 60 minutes on how to meet people. We need 45 minutes on how to work a candidate list. See, the difference between team members, team leaders, is sometimes the difference between victims and victors. Here's why I say that. Because how many times do you hear somebody say, well, I don't know any more people. I've talked to everyone I know about Fusion. That is a professional victim. Because what a professional network marketer would say is meeting people is a skill. It's a skill that I can learn. A skill that I can get better at. That's the difference.